Fine.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Hi.
That's Jill. Huge pain in the ass. And yeah, here we be.
Getting shivers.
Welcome to what was going to be a subscription episode, but it's not going to be anymore. We're just going to talk dirty to you guys, so
You're welcome.
enjoy. What's your heart this week?
That I think my brain is unwell. I actually think my whole system's unwell post birth control. But
I can listen and inhale.
Yeah, as much as I am in a light mood currently, it's not really been that fun. I just feel very not at home, specifically in my own brain. My body, for the most part, feels pretty okay. But
Why? I'm trying to cough around your words, motherfucker. I'm trying to help you out.
My body feels okay for the most part, but
it feels better than okay. Ooh, I don't know, like it tastes.
I told you I can't attend this episode. I'm trying to be so serious right now, and you're not helping.
Okay.
Anywho, my brain's not that fun to exist in, and I put a TikTok up being like, hello team, is this normal? And fortunately, I'm not really sure. Everybody was like, yep. And then even more people were like, yep, but for like a really long time, like 6 months to a year. So that's where I am currently.
Yeah, it's been frustrating. Not for me in any other way than I know that it frustrates you. And I will always be able to share in those emotions with my people. And knowing that it sucks to be in your skin, I can relate to that. It sucks to be in your brain, I can fucking relate to that. But it's frustrating for me from the standpoint of there's nothing that we can do about it. You just have to get through it and go through it. And like that's just a normal phrase. And so many females, femmes will understand that. I'm sure a couple of males listening that actually support and love their women understand that it's not that it's intrusive for you. Of course it sucks when your partner's crying. Of course it sucks when you can't joke with your person because they have a crazy hair trigger and like nothing's funny that day. And even if it is funny, it doesn't matter. It's like even if she wants to laugh, it's still tears. And like I laugh about it now, but it is like it's really hard to watch because it does like I know what it's like to. That was funny, and somehow I'm bawling. Like I know what those spaces are like, and to not be in control of your own system for any reason is fucking exhausting. Let alone just because you are trying to improve your life, getting off of something that was intrusive to your life because medical everything only made it so far. And I could go on this for an hour, but it is frustrating to see Jill have to go through this. I will support every day, but to have to support the fact that there's nothing we can do about it except for ride it out.
And I like having a moment of realizing that this is why so many women either go back or just stay on birth control because it's not fun. And as much as birth control for my system is not fun either, and I won't go back because I don't have any more options, quite frankly, of birth control. I've done them all. I understand why women are like, oh, fuck this. I'll just go back on the pill and be here all of the time so that I don't have to deal with any of the up and down.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. It was a little bit of like a mixed emotion reaction of being like, oh, like I think it's nice to know that you're not alone, but it also was like a little bit overwhelming for a second of being like, oh my god, how long is it going to be this way? But
yeah, which is also fair because even in your own expertise as a femme, we're getting away. The reason that you hear me struggle with this is because we're getting away from calling Jill a women's health coach. Though she does specialize in it, she wants to be able to help more bodies, and especially femme bodies, however that chooses to present and identify. But when your expertise is in that, in your own physique and being, and you still can't do shit about it. It like,
And somebody did make a fair point on my video of saying that, like, coming off of birth control is one thing, and then they said it nicely, but they were just like, I hope you remember that even though you got an abortion, you could still be having a lot of postpartum symptoms, that like the whole other wheelhouse of that hormone drop of like, it's not just coming off of birth control specifically for me. And even though I was pregnant for a very small window, it was nice to be reminded that like I actually have two things going on.
Yeah, like a big part of, I think, the ease with which I can support Jill in this is because I've obviously been through a pregnancy already. I've been through an abortion a couple of times, but more abundantly, the birth cycle alone is 9, 10 months, almost a full year, really long. So like the hormones that change and shift and do the thing, they continue to do that for 9 months. So like it would be reasonable to suggest that whatever Jill or other people go through would take 9 months to finish running its course, because the system, though it's not there, was just winding up for a thing. Well, in a 9 month process, to wind up, stop winding up, and then come off of all of those hormones, that could be 3 months, 4 months, 5, 6 months, 7 months. It simply makes sense in my brain. I'm also a man. I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense, Jill. That's just how I meet this thing every month. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, well, you're still only 2 months out of coming off of birth control. And then we got pregnant. You got pregnant. And then you weren't. And anytime you fucking full stop something that was ramping up, like, it's tough on the system. If anybody's cold turkeyed an addiction, that shit fucking almost kills you. It makes you think you're crazy. You want to go back to the thing. It's very, like, we all can grasp this thing that happens. It's just like a very fucking annoying thing that there's nothing you can do. You can prep, she takes her vitamins, she moves her body, and it just like all of a sudden there's a warning day of there's something up, and then the next day it's she's helpless to the emotion, and I'm helpless to anything but supporting the motion as it flows.
I also think it's hard as a human with a menstrual cycle, and maybe I'll start wording it that way, is like then you're like, oh great, let's do it again next month. Fun. Like it's not like with a lot of other things in your life, you're like, cool, dealt with that, done, see you never. It's like, cool, I have 26 days till I have to do this again.
I have a slightly ignorant for how much I know about the female bodies. You don't have periods anymore when you hysterectomy in one of the 4 versions of it, right?
You would have to get a total like
it's up to, yeah. That's
take
sorry. That was more my question.
There's
there's 3 different ways you can do it.
There's different like levels of.
Sorry, this is like I'm not asking for any other reason. In my brain, is like I distinctly remember that. Because even to that point, only one, and it's the full hysterectomy that would stop a period. You still could have the hysterectomy, so you can't get pregnant, but you could still have a period.
You could
what the
get
fuck?
your ovaries taken out so that you don't ovulate, but still bleed. Like there's like many levels.
That like sorry,
and
my
it's
brain
really
jumped to that.
Really hard, in my knowledge and through other people, to get a full hysterectomy, especially when you're young, because doctors still live on the side of you'll change your mind. So like I know somebody who's like in their 50s that still has a period.
Tough.
Yeah. What's your heart? Every time we podcast, and
first of all, it was every time we're high, and I said no, and then like 2 times later, I was sitting on our couch like single-handedly taking my
Ethan fights me on this every time. Anytime he's high, he does exactly this and pulls every
my
elastic.
Hair feels very cool.
I understand why it happens. However, the first time I said it, when I'm like, you do this every time you're high, there's just like a graveyard of elastics. He's like, no, it's just when my hair needs to be done.
I've only done it one time since, by the way.
I rolled times 8,000.
I've literally only done it one time since.
But it's not like I can't recognize.
I did though that one time sit there and like made it 8 elastics out before she looked at me and was like, "Why?" I was like, "I actually can't help it because the hair feels cool, but like there's
But the
If they
first
all don't feel uniform, then my tism takes over.
but the first time I pointed out, he's like, no, it just lines up with when they need to come out. That's not
it was
true.
only one more time. She can drag this out as much as she wants. It was one more time. My hard is. Hmm. Uh, my hard is being a trauma survivor the way that I am, and I say that because like I often have hards that are deal with my mental health. Like I really have to process a lot, and I do a lot of great work, and I do a lot of therapy to be able to do this life the way that I do, to live. um, but even in therapy this week, I've been very. There's been a constant theme of being let down, and everybody's gonna let you down, and they're human. And this is my biggest piss off with my existence currently, and this is my heart is that I'm well aware that everybody's human, and I give everybody a fair warning of being in my orbit and what it can be like in the spaces that I hold and create for myself, and the spaces I hold for everybody else. And I come with a really big warning label. I come with a list of boundaries that I communicate, um, and when people flex their human, it is real tough to want to be around people. Not because I don't like them, but because I shouldn't have to feel that way. And it's not their fault. They didn't hurt me. Some adult hurt me. A parent hurt me. The systems failed me. And like I carry that with me everywhere I go. No matter how much healing I do, no matter how much I like there's genuinely so much that I carry that we, especially childhood trauma survivors, carry into our adult life that we will never get to put down. It can be reduced. There's pieces of it that we get to throw away, but it'll always be there. It'll always be a warning for the side of us, the pieces of us, the parts of us that want to protect us. It'll always be a warning sign that something bad's about to happen because that's how we know it. That's how we've experienced it. So when people let us down, it's like extra fucked up, and it's real hard when it's harder when I live life without expectations on people because it's easier not to be let down. Not because I don't have expectations, but because I'm also very aware that everybody else is a human being. I have a life that takes me like you guys have been here long enough. I've been hospitalized multiple times randomly. I spend a fucked up amount of time in the hospital. I juggle a lot. I get called away a lot. I still get sick. I still have mental health terrible days. All of this shit. Sorry, what was this right before that?
You don't have expectations of people.
Mm-hmm. All that shit that I juggle that can take me away. How could I have expectations on people to show up every time I need them or I ask? But when people set a bar for me in being around me, in caring for me, in supporting me, in sharing time with me, in sharing space with me, whenever, wherever, whatever, when people say a thing and then don't do it or do the opposite, it offends every sensibility I have. It like offends little Ethan's understanding of when people actually put effort in that you're supposed to be worth it. But the only time that people put effort in is when it benefits them. The hardest part about this existence and this realization is that everybody gets to be human. My closest people, my therapist, the people closest to me have all missed in a fucked up heavy way in succession. And like forgiveness is a touchy subject at best, but it's never like full anger at them. It's the overarching frustration of I asked. I said exactly what I needed. I said everything I communicated, like everybody asks me to. And I still lost. I still took the L. I still took it on the chin. I was still let down, still hurt, still harmed, whatever it was. And the hard is how frustratingly simple it can be to be reminded that I am alone. It's a good thing I'm comfortable being alone. Yay, therapy. You're under joy. Or that.
Yeah, I think also as a outside looking in is a loose term because I'm right here. Um, but
I didn't have anything to combat what you said, but you said it, and I was like, oh, what?
but it always seems to come in like strings of things for me. Like it's not necessarily like one person did one thing. It'll be like myself included. Um, just like a few, a couple
They all have
events
different
that go
flavors.
together. But like you typically a common theme.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's always hard, I assume, and can see. And it's extra hard when people change your expectations and then don't follow through. And it's always hard when I fuck up. Um, I imagine we'll have a few not so fun months with my brain being not very fun and then Ethan's brain not being fun. But we'll figure it out, I'm sure. Um,
It just takes longer because there's like neither of us have an ability to logically think.
like I've had so many moments in the last couple months where I'm like, who said that?
Mm.
Who made that decision? And it's hard to like,
At both of us. That's not at me or at her. That's at both of us. I've said crazy shit. Just like, huh?
but it's also hard because I
Not
don't.
insulting. Just like a weird fucking sentence.
Yeah, and I think it's hard because I never want it to come across as like me being like, that wasn't me. I didn't say that because like I did, but even when it comes out of my mouth, I'm like, sorry, who made that decision? Um, and it just like feels weird in my system to be like, that's not how I behave, simply put. But um, yeah, it always seems to be more than one event in a row, and that's hard on anybody.
And like, there's always two sides of the hards. And like we talk about the hards because I freely want people to be able to talk about the shit that upsets them or bothers them or interferes or intrudes on their weeks. But there's also like I'm well aware of what I'm saying. Because the hard is this is how it's landing. This is how I see it. This is how it feels, and I have to cycle through the versions of me that feel it. And like Jill can speak to her experience in having to like figure out which one of me has the helm currently. Like not that hard to tell, hard to decide what they need because like little Ethan is just like wounded and
Little Ethan is usually just like be small, be comforting, remind. you that you're safe and that I am on your team, even if we're not pals in the moment. Um, it's like I would explain it to anybody as like trying to reason with like a 10-year-old kid. They have enough logic that they can argue back, but they just want to know that they're safe.
Jamal's still defending, but he's defending and protecting little Ethan. And that's the hardest. Like, that took me the longest to realize in therapy, like, the longest to figure out, like, why. Like, when I get defensive, like, that's the warning sign that Jamal's about to flex a muscle and protecting. Because it's not, it has, like, so little to do with the logically. What was said is factual. I've done enough healing for that. But when the logical sentence also comes with a trigger, the only thing that Jamal knows is to protect and defend. And I'd rather since we have now split up, would rather cut ties and lose ties to people than deal with having to nurse little Ethan back to whatever sanity or health he has to. Because it always takes longer in therapy. It's always like the weekly. It's when I have to shift to weekly therapy. It's when I'm suicidal the most. Is when little Ethan takes a bullet. Yeah. So Jamal's not like, and these are all like names of parts of me that have a physiological representation, but I'm not schizophrenic. I promise. I've been tested. It's just easy to name the pieces of me that continue to show up. Like, it's parts theory, and there's so many versions of it, but like this really is.
Sometimes it's easier to give it a name.
These things are pieces of me that help keep me alive. These are the survival beings that take up space here. Yeah, all of that to say it's that the heavy and hards are because of the wounds that I experienced at such a fucking vulnerable age. And I've done a lot of work to be able to navigate these spaces with my people. I've also kept people around me and people stay around me that can handle the spaces when they're less than fun.
I wish my arms were longer in those moments because I tried to squish Ethan, but
Yeah,
I
I don't
get
know if I've
to
told you
here
guys
and
this,
I'm
but
like,
there's been many people in my life that I've kept around and have been along this ride. And Jesse Lipscomb, and he was on the show last year. We should have him back and update everybody. Uh, Actually, right around this time because his book's about a year old. That's crazy. Congratulations, Jesse. He's the only one of like 3 or 4 people that have done it to me and can do it to me and survive it. Because sorry, that was fun. Not every bit of me hated the thought of it happening. But when I get like that, it's when I start to get too hot. Jesse's really good at clocking it. Jesse's also a very large human with an equally large reach as I do. So Jesse will wrap me in a hug, and I hate it, and he knows I hate it. But he'll get both my arms and like trap me because he knows that I can't actually like physically do it. If everybody's ever hugged you like that, you know how fucking disarming it is. It's so annoying. I actually hate it, and fucking Jamal hates it with everything in his being. But it's also like it's one of the things that I know I have to calm down. I have to relax and be able to take a breath. So yeah, Jill has to get close enough to at least try to hug
I
me.
usually have to not include his arms because I can't. So I just glue myself and I'm like,
It's lit like she actually does glue herself. It's really annoying. Not as annoying as having my arms trapped.
yeah, at least you can flail. I'm just attached to your flail
Uh-huh.
instead.
Yeah.
I usually try to get him to a soft surface because then I can flop on top of him, but sometimes that's not possible. So then I'm just attached to him.
Yeah, like it's hard. I think outside of the fact that you're small, I think it's hard because most people in those moments just need a hug. But like the part that makes it hard for my brain to be touched and like held is that the hugs that I used to get in being consoled were all from people that were hurting me. So you see how hugs are crazy. I never was a hugger actually for very long, most of my life after that. But like genuinely, like people have to risk getting within swing distance to just to console me, to try to show care in a way that still can feel very alarming and uncomfortable. But like I'm done enough healing that like a piece of this, enough of this knows that they're doing it to show me they care, and that piece gets a little bit bigger because they make it to me. And if I try to do what I do best, and that's get free, and I can't, especially because Jill's so small, like she does really glue herself to it. Like her chest is right up against. There's no ass out. Like she's in my skin because I can't get away from her that way. And the longer that she stays there, the more I'm reasoning with the fact that she's trying to get me to settle and like bring me back to a place that I can actually breathe, that I can think. It takes a minute sometimes because like it's that not fun in here. Because sometimes I have memories like that, like I just had, like why is it so shitty to be hugged? Because for the entirety of the developmental part of my life, they were from people that were harming me or ignoring the harm. Either a direct hand in it or 0% helping me.
Thank you for sharing
And you I love.
that.
I'm so jazzed about Fashion Week, so
I don't know. These are all like, I wouldn't be like, oh my god, best things ever, but they're nice. This, I got a paper planner, which feels nice. All my things were digital. My whole life is on the internet. Shocking. Um, and I was using ClickUp, which was working really well for like solid like 4 years. And then all of a sudden in the last 2 months, I'm just like, I don't need to look at that anymore. Which is not true because I don't have any task management skills inside my brain. So I need them written down somewhere. And if I don't look at the place they're written down, then that's actually not helpful. So, had a realization last week because I got a couple messages from clients, and like, bless my clients. I try really hard to not ever make my clients have to remind me of shit. Um, they are paying me for a service, and it is my job to do my job. So anytime I get reminded of like, hey, did you do this thing? And I didn't, my perfectionist business owning brain does not like that. So I got a message last Friday being like, hey, like, did I misunderstand when I was getting my program? And I said, no, I just didn't write it down anywhere. So I realized I needed to get a paper planner, and
you did yourself dirty. You didn't even
like
write
it was nowhere. Like
I've
it
done
wasn't.
that a few
It
times.
wasn't even in my task management, and I just hadn't looked at it. Like it was nowhere.
I've done that a few times in the last 6 months.
So I got a paper planner, and I had a two-part to this, but I don't remember. Oh yeah, I got a paper planner, which feels nice, and then also
What you doing?
my hair feels bad.
So put it up.
I don't know how to describe it.
Put it up, because
I need new extensions, I
you're
think.
hella fidgety with it right now.
Two-part is that I have gotten up 2 mornings in a row, and somebody's gonna be like, and
No, not that it's a big deal, but it's a very important detail in this house.
yeah. I just like need more day, but I don't really like mornings. And then just had a moment of being like, figure it out. So I plugged my phone in away from our bed, and I only set one alarm because I think I do myself dirty by setting 84 alarms, because then I'm like, you don't need to get up for the first one. There's 4 more coming. So I only set one alarm the last 2 mornings, and it was away from our bed. And I listened to a podcast. Hold on, let me get the name.
I'm taking an assist on the alarm this morning.
Ethan beat my alarm this morning. Yeah, I told you I can't attend this podcast. Everything you say gives me a shiver currently. Don't look at me. Um, I was listening to a podcast. Stop. And it's from this girl I
Yeah.
actually used to consume content from. She was in like the health and fitness space for a while, and now she's not anymore. Her name's Grace Beverly. Some of you might know that name, but she has a podcast called Working Hard, and she did like a quick like 20-minute episode, which was nice the other day with, I don't know how to say that name,
Where is it?
near
EL.
EL
NIREYAL.
any who
Near and far, yeah, so it has to be near.
he was just talking about like breaking down dopamine loops and like how to get away from them and blah 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 blah. And one of his points was like to delay the instant gratification, especially with social media. So plug my phone in away from the bed, only set one alarm, and then told myself I'm not allowed to open TikTok until I'm outside with my dog. Which means the sooner I get outside with my dog, the sooner I can check TikTok, and it's worked 2 mornings in a row. So
Yeah. Yeah. I like that it's worked. That it was just that simple. Also, so
and
far,
I
so
think
far, like it's been.
that's also a big piece of like neurodivergent brains is like you really have to trial and error because the habits built for neurotypical people probably aren't going to work for you, but some of them might. But you're going to have to trial and error a few. Like I assume at some point I'll have to readjust my morning, but for now this actually makes sense in my brain and like gives me dopamine and like gratification from being like you're outside, congratulations, go on your phone, versus like doing it from
The other
bed.
way, yeah.
So this is my PSA that if you're frustrated with like you've tried one thing and it didn't work, you're probably gonna have to try a lot. But eventually something will make sense in your brain.
Yeah.
Are you pulling Fashion Week into this one?
I'm just thinking. Um, kind of. My joy is like not just that Fashion Week was so great, which we talked about in our previous episode with Vellum Health, uh, but just how fired up I've been about it and modeling in as a whole and creating things as a whole. Um, it's you're funny. I love you very much. Yeah, it's been very fun to feel a fire and a drive and a push in my being again that I haven't felt in a long time. I've been I. It's not that I don't like training. I just don't want to be a trainer anymore. I love that I do the programming. I love that I'm going to do some more programming. But like I've had a lot of fun making meals and making food for people, and I would like to build that a little bit more. I've loved creating content. Like holy shit, have I love creating content. But like the modeling's also just been something that I've kind of done. But Kelowna Fashion Week showed me that I not only I love it, but I'm good at it. I'm great at it. I take risks. I want to learn. I love that I get to meet people. I met a lot of cool people. I hope I get to see again. You know, distance will make it hard for some of us, but there's no way that I don't want to see these people again. To create with them again, to hold space with them, for them, because of them, all the things. Like it's just so much fun, and so to get model of the year or whatever they called it, I wasn't really listening when they said my name. I panicked. I don't know.
He
I
did. You watched his whole being be like, yeah, me. But it was funny because I was sitting with the JB, one of the designers he walked for, worked, I guess, both.
both.
And as the spiel started, Julian was like, guess who it's going to be? And I was like, you know something I don't.
Yeah, and so to get that after just existing the way that I do, um, in show in Kelowna, supporting other people, my colleagues, other models, the show itself, and then making a statement and doing what I do best and having a fucking blast on the runway. Um, it just feels good to continue to feel that push to do more with it. looking for an agent currently that'll help me.
Yeah, if any of you know agents in
Or
the
are
modeling
an
space,
agent, yeah, reach
help,
out.
because
Let's talk.
apparently they're harder to find than.
Yeah, but like I will also take like a speaking agent if that's going to put me in more rooms with more people. Uh, yeah, there's lots of things that I feel a big push and a big drive to do, and it's not train anymore. For a very long time, the last 10ish years, it's been training. It's been this health thing, but like now this is something that I can do. I want to find the next thing that I get to do. Um, yeah.
Exciting.
Mm-hmm. On to the episode. We're gonna talk dirty to you. You. Like gently though, and with consent.
I told you I can't attend.
Tell us everything you would like to hear. Not you. You. You're not allowed to tell anybody anything.
I can tell people whatever I want.
Yeah. Tell them how you spread your butt cheeks.
Shut up, not that.
You got red ears. That was crazy. I've never seen you this red. That's crazy. We have a couple of questions.
I don't have any answers.
Question number one, little one. What's a kink you now enjoy that took you by surprise? Do you want to start with a different one and I can start with that one? Would you give up your kinks for a healthy relationship with the right person?
No. No. That's my whole answer.
Your whole
I
answer?
kid. My last monogamous relationship was exactly that. In theory, there's nothing wrong with my last monogamous relationship. He was nice. He treated me well.
For sure people are going to see me react to that sentence. I'm not even sorry. I tried real hard.
Okay, in Ethan's defense, he was nice to me. Well, my ex was nice to me while we were in relationship. Then he got his feelings hurt and tables turned real quick. But like throughout our relationship, he was very nice to me. Like he got along with all the regular tick the boxes. He got along with my family at the time. I was like, maybe I'll get married. Like he ticked the boxes. But a big piece of a relationship that's important to me is like not only kink, but also like sex in a relationship is really important to me, and like good sex and sex that's like mutually talked about and worked on and explored and so on and so forth. And that was heavily missing. We were long distance. He thought that our sex life didn't matter because we were long distance. I lived on the side of it should matter more because we only see each other once every 3 months. And it was just like a big point of contention for us. He wasn't willing to work on it. I even tried to teach, and like as a submissive, like I'm happy to teach, but I don't really want to teach the person that I want doing things to me. Anywho, it was just like not a good mesh, and that was ultimately the main reason I ended the relationship. And I got a lot of feedback from people in consideration of ending it, of being like, you're really going to end a relationship just because of the sex? And I said, yeah. Especially if it's not something that's ever going to be worked on or anything that he wants to work on, then like, yeah, absolutely. Because I'm not spending the rest of my life, the rest of this relationship, unfulfilled and unsatisfied with my sex life just because he's nice. That's crazy to me. So no. In
Nice.
conclusion, no.
Healthy relationship. Everything about this kink dynamic, kink relationship, kink connection that we share is healthy. It's consensual. That looks so chunky. Oh my god.
Sweat supplements, code Coach Jill.
Oh my.
It was actually because of my gut FX was in there too, so it's.
I gotta start putting that in my shakes, but what the fuck? A clear straw did me dirty on
That's
that
the
one.
ad everyone was looking for.
All right,
Really sold
commercial.
the product.
That's a stupid question for the way it was worded, as if kink isn't healthy. Kink is healthy. Kink is beautiful. Kink is trauma aid. It's therapy tool. It's beautiful. Um, but moreover, no, because I don't do vanilla. There's so little about my sex life that's vanilla up front. Not that I'm not capable of it. I just don't enjoy it.
I was trying to think.
Of what we do that's vanilla.
Yeah.
And that like, yeah. Outside of nope. Can't even and can't even be that. Because after you because we usually start half awake. So like once you actually wake up, it immediately stops being vanilla. um
I feel like before I wake up is also not vanilla.
I didn't do it. I whispered in your ear something to the effect of
No, I'm just saying in general that the part where I'm like not awake, it would arguably be less vanilla.
yeah, I think that the fact that I eat you out before I've fully come to is
Is
crazy.
what I
But
say.
also,
Anywho.
if you guys haven't had like that sleep zombie sex, you should try it. I think that answered that question.
I also don't think you should have to choose. And I think
No, that's kind of what I'm driving at. Like, there's no.
as a female, especially, I feel like, and I'm sure.
Oh yeah, keep saying this. Will be a good topic. Keep going.
I'm sure men deal with it too. And welcome to being a female, where I feel like I have to preface everything with I'm sure men deal with it too. I'm sure they do, but like as a female, I think a lot of us are told to like not talk about what we want in the bedroom, not complain about what we get or don't get in the bedroom, and like that in the more traditional relationship dynamics is like the least important part, where a lot of people would put like, is he nice, does he or she provide, do they have the same values as you? Like I feel like a lot of things are stacked above sex, and I you make your own decisions, but I think that's important. And especially if you're monogamous, like you're only going to get to do that with one person, so you better like it. uh but I think like women are taught to just like not talk about it, not ask for what they want, not complain about what they do get, and I think that's really dumb.
Yeah, I think that another piece to that answer is also for me. I fuck it. This is our episode. I'm good not to come, not to orgasm every time we have sex. I'm also like a major trauma victim, survivor, whatever you want to say. Like, there's a lot of this that I still have to work through. The beauty about kink and BDSM is that I don't have to be penetrative. I don't have to use parts of my body if I don't want to. I can really just focus on using the tools and the things that we use to play and create and craft scenes for Jill. Sometimes it's just a lesson. But like it's I find so much more beauty being able to still take people to amazing places, fun places, to subspace if you know what it is, to bringing people to orgasm without having to just be inside them. And so there's so much more space for connection, intimacy, and experiences, exploration outside of traditional missionary kumbaya. We're fine. On to the next question. Um, you're gonna ask me the question since I said you could.
How much do you usually script your scenes?
um, it genuinely How much do I usually sit with?
I'm gonna give a disclaimer if you're new to the kink space that when we say script, we don't mean like
Type out.
he doesn't like give a speech. So, well, sometimes, but like it's not like here's my hour-long speech. That's not the type of script we're talking about.
No, and that's I'll say it kind of depends on the scene. And for those of you that don't also know, a scene in the kink and BDSM world is like that. The time the door closes, what happens in that bedroom, in whatever space you play in, the scene is the act of playing with each other. So when creating scenes as a dominant and um, holding space for play, there's a lot of times, like as a dominant for myself, I will say that I have a few really important questions when being asked to play, and Jill has to be able to answer at least two of them for play to happen. And it's how do you want to play this time? How do you want to play with me today? How do you want to be played with today? And when asking that, I'm asking for direction and emotion that Jill would like to arrive at, a space or place that Jill would like uh, to end up in, a feeling or experience in her body, on her body that she would like to have. Whatever it is, it sets the tone for how I craft a scene. Um, the next is there anything you do not want to experience? So that there's a firm boundary set. Sometimes, and Jill and me do live a very wild life, but we don't always live it rough. And making sure that I'm understanding where she's at, I'm using her as the example, but anybody's at, before we play in the moment, as we lead up to it in the day before, the day of, is there anything you do not want to experience in this scene during this session? Um, and it's not that I have like a strict third. It's that it depends on how she's answered the first two. If there's any toys or implements that she wants to experience or doesn't want to experience, and like there's some things that are shittier than others, and she can't. And I will say that the other caveat to the rule is she can't just say no because I don't like it. That's not how this game is played. Because she's a brat. Because it's just like a pouty fucking like no shit. That's why we bought it. But there's also like sometimes there are far more intense toys that we have and tools that we have, impact toys that we utilize. There's far less. So in that, it's just also creating a safer and fun boundary to play within. And sometimes it's also an answer of like one of Jill's newer common answers is that she wants rules while we play. And And so in those, 2, 3, 4, sometimes questions there, I'm able to generate an idea of what she's asking me for. And I can tell by her energy around me, in the days leading up to it, if she's being more pushy, if she's being more playful, if she's pushing my buttons, that she is looking for versions of play that are usually more intense, whatever it is. So scripting it, yes, to an extent, I will, make sure that I've set up how to restrain her. I will also inquire if I have free will to remove senses from her. Usually blindfolds, plugging her ears so she can't hear where I'm at in the room. Um, we can explain that one later. Sometimes it's sensation. um, yes, I'll suss out like the location, and then I will pick kind of the tools that I want to use throughout the scene, whether it's impact tools or resistance, whether it's the sensation play, whether it's knives, whatever it is that, again, within the boundaries and in the things that she's asked leading up to that. Are you gonna be okay over there?
No, I told you I couldn't attend this episode.
You can keep saying that out loud, okay? Um, but the reason that I say that like to an extent is because like that's kind of where it ends. In the scene, anything can happen. Jill can go off script because there isn't really one.
But it's also like if I have asked for rules, now it's my choice if I follow them or not. So like as much as there's a game plan, it's also, and this always comes back to our point of like the submissive is actually the one in control because I get to choose what I do with the rules, with
Mm-hmm.
the guidelines, with the instructions. And then Ethan pivots or doesn't from there.
Yeah, and there's a lot that goes into being able to read who you're playing with, your submissive, your play partner. Especially when pushing pain, things can be very intense, and people can go to a lot of different places. And that's a whole other conversation on its own. But I say that because in those moments when your play partner gets less communicative, when there's no words being able to be formed, I have to be able to communicate with her and know where she's at. Sometimes we need to slow down. Sometimes we need to stop. Sometimes the pivot in scene can go from uh, all of these rules that are designed to let Jill decide her punishment, basically, if she's going to play and follow along or not, to having to pivot to a more sensual version of play because she's reached her limit with pain, but she's not quite where she wanted to be, or she's not. I know there's more here. I'm sensing that she's not done. So like it's to an extent, there's a guideline that I keep in my head, an experience. There's things that as a dominant, Jill's asked me for in the past, questions and curiosity. So sometimes I implement or bring something new in. Sometimes I, question in moment. Is it okay to try this thing that you've asked for? I don't want to catch you off guard with it, especially when it's new. Um, in the moment, it has its supposed flow, but in like most things in life, you have to be able to adapt safely and continue to move through. Not always just pull the plug and pull the ripcord on the emergency. What's the last one?
What's a kink you now enjoy that took you by surprise?
It took me by surprise. I don't know that there's lots like recently because of the experiences that I've had and the life that I've lived. Um, I think ones that still I apparently was able to go right back to that memory. Yeah, I think that one that still will live rent free in my head will be when we were in the mountains. Uh, Having my ass eaten while getting head is crazy, and I didn't know I would ever like butt play from like done to me after obvious reasons. But there's lots of therapies happened, and I can say there's lots of things that shock me about myself still. But that would be one that surprises me. I think that I butt play from my end at all. I mean, I'm sure I've got a top three, but you can throw yours out there if you like.
I hope I'm gonna be just a tomato this
Yes,
whole
you will.
episode.
You got real dark real fast.
I'm
That's
not
fun.
being very cool and chill today. Uh, I mean, I have a lot. I think I had written a lot of things off even before we dated the first time, of things that were no's or I wasn't interested in or whatever. And I think a lot of my no's came from lack of experience and also like lack of a safe place
Mm-hmm.
to try it in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and lack of trust with the people I was with to know how to do it. Before Ethan and I dated the first time, I didn't really have anyone that had any experience with kink or BDSM or anything, so my life was fairly vanilla outside of the like usual. I don't know how to, it's not kinky, but like outside of the usual experiments within vanilla.
Sure.
I don't know how else to
I've
word that.
not had the pleasure or privilege of being vanilla much in my life.
There's not much pleasure
Noted.
for me personally. Um, but I'm trying to think of like specifics that have surprised me. I think anything to do with sharps, specifically because like knives scare me. They still do. Um, I I thought you were gonna say something. Knives have always scared me. Like even as a kid, like I remember one time my sister like fake threw a knife at me, and I like freaked out. Like anything.
Wow, you had the privilege of your sibling fake throwing a knife at you? Fuck. My brother threw a whole couple of knives at me.
I don't know what it is, but like still, if there's a knife in the sink, I'm like convinced I'm gonna slice my whole hand off. And I don't really know where that came from, but like knives scare me. Um, so any like sharps play, I would say surprised me because I thought I would freak out similar as I do. Like my mom used to fill the sink to do dishes, and then would just like drop knives in the sink, and then I was always scared that no more hand for Jill, goodbye, gone. Um, so I always thought like anything to do with sharps would like elicit that same panic of like I'm gonna die, but it didn't. Kind of liked it. Uh, what else has surprised me?
Spit.
Yeah,
I
and
think that one's kind of funny.
is like the spit and slapping, is that considered like degradation? Is that okay? Any of that the first time I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Um,
Even as a dominant, that was one of my limits for play. Like I would, because I was never, though like spanking and stuff is still hitting women. Like far different than slapping one in the face. And I was like a hard no for, as from the dominant space and spitting. Man, if you spit at me, you could have called me the N word, and I would react slower than someone spitting on me. As soon as you spit on me, the germaphobe in me smash your fucking leg. Oh, yep, everybody can catch that monkey. Oh, equal opportunity ass whooping from that one. That's just from the dominant space. That changed this time. I blame this one. No, I like it was a lot of therapy, and this is from my own story. Is a lot of therapy and realizing that I was actually holding myself back from being able to grow as a dominant by not being able to hold these spaces in a safe way for people. And to the argument I just made about spanking people not really being different, like it's not. I leave long lasting marks on asses, on backs, on legs, all over bodies. Being able to add to my ability to hold space and create these scenes and spaces with people and for people, it was easy to do that math. And then the opportunity to get better and hone the skill was presented, and hone it I have. Yeah, yeah. I don't think
I'm
there's any more that like surprise me. I'm also always eager to learn. There's hard nose that'll stay hard nose permanently for me. Um, but those are like really obvious. Those are like no shits, and that is one of them.
I would agree. Like I still, as much as I've leaned more into certain things, there's still like hard lines. Like I'm not interested in actually being insulted.
Mm-hmm.
That's in my brain. I would be like, mm-mm. So I think everybody still has lines, even if you lean into certain types of play and certain wheelhouses of kink. You probably and should have a hard stop at some point of like, this is cool, this is less than.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's some that I know will never change. But
Also, yeah. I think that's about it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us. I do love a good dirty episode. I hope you feel thoroughly, thoroughly what? No,
Go ahead.
no. Okay, I'll sit here. You
just
can cut the show.
I don't have any chill today. I'm sorry.
I just hope that you have all enjoyed every second of this, like I have. You don't think about us too much, or think about us as much as you want.
If you have dreams about us, tell us.
Oh yes, please. I would love to know what dreams you have of me, of us, of this. We'll see you next time.
Bye.